Alright, hey guys, it's Olivia Face here. Welcome back to my channel. As you guys can tell from the title, in today's video I will be talking about labor and delivery and also my baby girl's journey in the Nicu. I tried to film this video already, so and I also had her while I was filming the video. So I will include at the end of the video the part where I introduced her to you guys, and yeah, it'll make sense when I include it. My outfit and everything will look a little bit different because, like I said, I did film this previously, but I didn't even have to look at the footage to know that I'm not gonna like how it turned out. So I just decided, why not just go ahead and try to refilm it for you guys, which is what I'm about to do. Now, if you see me looking down, this is what I didn't do last time. That's why I was like, I need to refilm it. I wrote down some notes of everything that I could possibly remember, you know, to film the video. So I have it here, and I also have my viewfinder right in front of me. So if you see me looking down or at my phone, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so to start off, hopefully you guys have already seen my previous video. This video will make a lot more sense if you guys have watched that video. If not, disclaimer, I am sick, if you guys can't tell, so please excuse my voice and all that jazz. But if you guys have not seen my previous video, I highly recommend that you go ahead and watch that video first, because this video will make a lot more sense if you've already seen that. If you have not, I will link it down in the description box below, so you guys can just go ahead and watch that first and then come back to this video. I am going to do a little bit of a run through of basically what I said in the video before. So I have miscarried in the past, and this my latest pregnancy, which led to my baby girl, is basically what I spoke about in that video. And like I said, I just said too much in the video, so please just go ahead and watch that video first before coming to this one. Okay, alright, so now that we have that out the way, I'm just gonna get started. So in the video, I mentioned that I went on a cruise, and on the cruise I came back when I was 24 weeks. Okay, I came back from the cruise when I was 24 weeks, and this was on July 29th. So on July 29th of 2018, I went on a cruise and I came back, and 2 days after I came back, which is the Tuesday, July 31st, I woke up and I noticed it was either the Monday the 30th or the Tuesday. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the Monday or the Tuesday, I'm not exactly sure, but one of those days I woke up and I went to the bathroom to pee as usual, and I noticed that I was spotting, which is very irregular for a pregnant lady, especially in my case. All throughout my pregnancy, you know, if I noticed that I was spotting, I knew that that was a sign that something is wrong. So my husband was at home at the time, so I immediately called him while I was still in the bathroom, and I was like, babe, this video is a lot more easy to film now that I've got the last video out the way, so I won't be crying. I will not be crying in this video because it's a lot easier to talk about now versus when I was going through it. So I called him and I was like, babe, come look at this, you know, something's wrong, I'm spotting it, I don't know what's going on. So he immediately called his mom. Because we live closer to his side of family, he immediately called his mom, and you know, he told her the situation. She came within like 5 minutes, and we were on our way to the hospital. Right when we got to the hospital, because they knew my situation, they told me if there's ever a point where you feel like you're spotting, or you know, just something's wrong with you or the baby, then come directly to triage. So that's where we went. Went to triage, you know, signed in and everything. They checked me, asked me questions and so forth, and they were like, okay, we're gonna wait for the doctor and he's gonna come in and talk to you. So at this point, I was already like completely stripped of all my belongings. I was just laying there. My husband was there as well, and my husband's mom, my mother-in-law, she was waiting in the waiting area. So the doctor came in and he checked what was going on down there, and he was a Jamaican doctor. He was super cool, super nice, and all that. So After he checked me, he sat down on the bed right next to me, and like I said, because he's Jamaican, we were already talking, and you know, we got familiar with each other, and he sat down on the bed next to me, and he's like, basically, your mucus plug is starting to come out, and it looks like you're gonna have this baby today. When he said that, I was just like, okay, like, I'm not ready. Like, this is not happening today. I'm just not ready. If you watched my last video, you'd see in the video that I mentioned in the video that my goal was to make it to 24 weeks. Like I said before, you really have to go watch that video in order to understand what I'm talking about in this video. So, like I said, I was 24 weeks at the time when I got into the hospital, and the doctor telling me that the baby's gonna come today, which was on the Monday or the Tuesday, one of those 2 days. I can't remember. So I was just saying to myself, like, I'm really not ready today. Like, you know, it's obviously way too soon. I'm only 24 weeks, but at the same time, I'm grateful that I was able to make it up until this point. So, you know, I wasn't ready for it, but then again, I was just telling myself, like, if this is a situation that is going to happen, then so be it. You know, it's out of my control. I can only put it in God's hands, and that's just what's going to happen. So immediately he's like, we're going to transfer you to the delivery room and just get you prepped, get you set up, and, you know, get everything ready because it looks like she's coming today. I wasn't having any contractions or anything. I wasn't really in pain or any of that. So they had given me my first shot of steroids. Just following my notes here. If you don't know, steroids is used to basically help the baby's lungs develop because the baby is so tiny and, you know, obviously still in the process of growing, developing. So I had gotten my first shot of steroids, and thankfully she did not come that day. Everything was good. They hooked me up to a monitor, and I was completely bedridden, which means I couldn't get out of bed for anything at all, not even I had my own room. Like I said, I was in a full delivery room which had its own bathroom, like a couch on the side, on everything. I was completely bedridden, like I said before. I couldn't get out of bed to use the bathroom. If I wanted to pee, shit, all that, excuse my language, I had to do it right there on the bed. I was hooked up to a monitor every second of every single day, just to monitor her, check her heartbeat and all that. So yeah, it was a very uncomfortable situation for me because I was so bedridden. I had these leg pressures. I don't even know if that's what they're called, but these leg pressures on my leg to basically like massage my legs, like I said before, to get the blood flowing throughout my body. Everything was going extremely well until the following Thursday. So the following Thursday at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I started having some excruciating pain. I was starting to have contractions, and they were like so intense to the point where like I had to get the doctor, and my husband was there at the time, but he was sleeping, and I was like, I'm not gonna wake him up because I just don't think, you know, like I'm gonna have the baby right now. So he was still sleeping, and the doctors came in and they were like, how are you feeling? So I'm letting them know, like, I think I'm having contractions. They're pretty strong, and they checked me on a monitor, and I was indeed having contractions. So they went ahead and they got my doctor. He came in and he's like, okay, the baby must be coming right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and alert the neonatal unit, and we're just gonna, you know, get everything going. So they had these huge lights. They flipped on these huge lights above my head. He had these tools laid out on a table, and I was just like, like, I'm not ready for whatever is about to go down. Okay, so at this point I'm like, I need to wake his ass up. So I woke him up, and they gave me some magnesium, and basically what the magnesium was supposed to do was to basically suppress my contractions and make them go away. From my understanding, that's what, you know, the magnesium was supposed to do. So they gave me the magnesium, and the magnesium is also supposed to lower your blood pressure, but ever since I got to the hospital, my blood pressure has been extremely low. So they gave it to me, and it worked. I didn't end up having her that Thursday, thank God. So, you know, everything was good. So my contractions went away. I started to feel a lot better, and yeah. The Thursday passed, the Friday came, the Saturday passed, and then the Sunday came when I hit 25 weeks. I was extremely happy that I made it another week, because all they kept telling me when I went to the hospital is every single day that you're here is so much better for the baby, for her to, excuse my voice, for her to develop properly, you know. So every single day counts, and our goal is to make you last as long as possible. So when I got to 25 weeks, I was extremely happy. So yeah, like I said, the days were just going by. I was still very uncomfortable, you know. I couldn't really get much sleep because I was constantly hooked up to the monitor every second of every day. So I had to lay a certain kind of way so they could keep her on the monitor to hear her, monitor her heartbeat. But just there were times where my body would just get so cramped up. But at the end of the day, I knew that, you know, it wouldn't last forever. I just kept telling myself that this isn't gonna last forever, and I'm doing it for a purpose. So a week had gone by, and we're going on to my second week now. So it's coming up to August 9th, the following Thursday. As I said before, they were monitoring my progress, and they kept saying that because you've been doing so good, we're just going to go ahead and move you to the recovery room, which you will be sharing with another patient, and you won't necessarily be on strict bed rest, but you will be on bed rest. You still won't be able to walk to the bathroom, but we will have a potty situation set up next to the bed for you. So just in case you need to use the bathroom, you know, you can just step right off the bed and sit right on the potty and do whatever you have to do. I did not want them to move me. I was just so scared. I kept telling them that, like, you know, like I kept telling myself that I have a pretty good situation going here with being on strict bed rest, even though the situation is quite uncomfortable, but I've lasted so long, and I just think that with you guys moving me, I just have a feeling like that something's gonna happen. So I just kept telling myself and them that I just feel like something's gonna happen. So nonetheless, I did get moved that Thursday morning, and like I said before, when I moved, I still had the leg pressures on my leg, but they were loose enough that if I needed to, I could just step right off the bed, and it was putting a lot of pressure on my pelvic area. I hadn't stepped on my legs or even walked for over a week, so you can only imagine what that would feel like. It literally felt like I had no feeling in my legs. Like, literally, that's like, I don't even know what else to say. That's just what it felt like. It just felt like I had no feeling in my leg, and I was just standing, but I couldn't feel anything because I hadn't used my legs in so long. But whenever I needed to pee, which was quite often, I would, you know, manage to get myself off of the bed, step down and, you know, use the potty that was right next to me. So the Thursday, you know, I got adjusted to my new situation. Everything was fine until the following Friday, August 10th, which is the day that she was born. So that morning, I had a scheduled sonogram. Before I even go into that, I do want to mention that while I was there, I didn't get a chance to take my maternity photos, which is something that I really wanted to do during my pregnancy. So knowing me and the type of person that I am, I was going to make that happen. So my sister and I, we devised a plan to, you know, take my photos while I was there in the hospital. So we had got the backdrop, I had bought my entire outfit of what I was going to wear, and I had scheduled to have my sister come to the hospital, and we were going to do it that following Saturday. That did not end up happening because homegirl that was in my stomach had other plans. Okay, so back to that Friday morning. So that Friday morning, I had a scheduled sonogram. The doctor came in for the sonogram, and she wanted to check the baby on the monitor, and I didn't notice that all morning I did not feel her move in my stomach at all. So when the lady came for the sonogram, she asked me, have you felt her move all morning? And I was just thinking to myself, like, actually I haven't, just to think about it. So she needed to see her do something on the sonogram. I don't remember what it was, but she would not move at all. So she was like, you know, drink some water, drink some juice or anything, you know, move from side to side just to see if we could get her to move on the monitor. Homegirl did not move at all. And at this point I was like, that's pretty odd that she's not moving, because she was a baby when she was in my stomach. She was a baby that would move constantly, like constantly moving throughout the day. So when we both noticed that she wouldn't move, no matter what I would do, she just wouldn't move. She was just like, well, I'll just come back later today and, you know, we'll do the sonogram over again to see if she does move. After she left, I noticed that I kept having pains, like the contractions were starting to come in, but they weren't intense to the point where I needed to alert a nurse. So, you know, they were just like little period cramps, but like I said before, nothing too major to the point where I was just like, I need to tell a nurse. So my husband had went home. Because I had switched rooms, he couldn't stay with me anymore, so he went home Thursday night. And he was supposed to come back the Friday, but I was really craving chicken feet, and I told him that I need him to make it and bring it to me. I really do hope that you guys can understand what I'm saying, even though I have a cold. I'm really trying. I need to get this video up for you guys because it's been a minute since I posted the last one, so bear with me. And so my husband came around at 2 o'clock, and I forgot to mention that when they moved me to the new room, I wasn't being monitored. The baby wasn't being monitored every second. They had stopped monitoring me every second to monitoring me only every 2 hours or so. So they would monitor me for 2 hours, take me off, and then another 2 hours and take me off, and so forth. So when my husband came, the contractions started to get a little bit heavier. So I was like, at this point, let me go ahead and tell the nurse that I'm having contractions. Now, the nurse that was on duty at this point was like an older Chinese lady, and you can tell when a person is doing the bare minimum from when they're going the extra mile to make sure that their patient or customer or whoever it is like well taken care of. That was not the case for her. Like I said before, she was just doing the bare minimum. So when I told her that I was having contractions, she was just like, okay, let me put you back on the monitor and let's see if you are actually having contractions. So when she did that, based on what she saw on the monitor, she was like, no, you're not having any contractions, you should be fine. So I turned to her and I said, are you sure? Because these really feel like contractions. They were okay earlier, but now it's getting a little bit more intense, and I really do feel like I am having contractions. So she's like, no, I don't think. She's like, no, based on what the monitor says, you're not actually having contractions, so you should be fine. So she said that and she left the room. And I was telling my husband, like, I don't know what she saw on the monitor, but these are contractions, because they feel a lot worse now to the point where it's bothering me. So as I mentioned before, I had already took a shit earlier, so I was like, I have to pee. So I got up out the bed and I sat on the potty and I peed. So right after I peed, I knew that I felt something coming. I wasn't sure what it was. I just knew that I took a shit earlier, so I know I'm not shit again, and I just know that that's not it, so something's coming. So my husband was standing directly in front of me, and when I felt that, I just looked at him and I was like, something's coming. Like, it's funnier now than I think about it, but it was obviously not funny in the moment because I thought it was her head that was coming. So I looked at him and I was like, something's coming. And you should have saw the look on his face. I was like, go get a nurse right now, something's coming. So he ran out the room, and literally it was like a scene out of Grey's Anatomy. Like, there were about 10-15 nurses around me. Like, this whole time I was thinking that there were only 2 or 3 nurses on duty at the time. And then when I saw all these nurses around me, I was like, where did all y'all come from? Like, where were you guys hiding? Like, literally it was like 10 to 15 nurses around me. Most of them are black, which I love. So one of the nurses was a black lady. She ran in and I was still sitting on the potty at this point, and she was like, get up and lay on the bed. And she helped me up. She put me on the bed and she took her hand and she just grabbed my vagina. And it sounds really intense. It sounds really intense. That's because it actually was. Like, she just grabbed me down there, and at this point I didn't even care, you know. Like, I had been in the hospital for so long already. So many people that I don't even know, doctors and nurses, done seen, felt, all that stuff, you know. So I was just like, you know what? I don't even care. And I wasn't even thinking about that at this point. All I knew that something was coming out of me, and I thought it was my daughter's head. I was freaking out, so I laid down on the bed. I had my hands over my face because there were so many people around me, and I was just crying hysterically, like hysterically. And somehow they managed to get me from that room back into the delivery room that I was in. And the nurse, she touched me, and she was like, okay, we're gonna need you to help us get you from this bed onto an actual delivery bed. So I was just like, okay. I was just like, okay. So I got up, and she was like, we just need you to help yourself up so we can get you onto an actual bed. So I did that, and this whole time her hand was still like holding my vagina, holding it. So they had got me onto the bed, and about a few minutes, maybe seconds later, because everything happened so fast, a few minutes later, my water sac, which is what it was that I felt coming, my water broke. And while I was in the hospital, I remember the doctor saying, like, even if your water broke, we can still keep it in you for a few more days. So that's fine. We're not even worried about your water breaking. We can still keep it in you, even if your water breaks. So my water broke, and at this point, everybody was just so chill. I was like, why are you guys so chill? And I'm over here freaking out, like freaking the out. So my water broke. I was laying there in this pool of water. My contractions were hitting like crazy, like literally unlike anything I had ever felt in my entire life. Okay, I thought I felt pain before. No, that was nothing compared to what was going on at the time. You know, they had got my doctor, and I was asking them, like, could you guys give me another shot of magnesium? Because remember I told you guys, like, the Thursday previously, the week before, you know, they gave me the magnesium to suppress my contractions. So I was asking them, like, can I get that again so that you guys can keep her on me for, you know, more time? And they were telling me, like, no, we can't give you any more magnesium because your blood pressure is already really low, and that's basically what it does, and we just can't give it to you. So I was just like, okay, all right. So at this point, they gave me another shot of steroids. As I said before, steroids does help the baby's lung develop more. So I had gotten my second shot of steroids, and yeah, at this point, I was dead. Okay, I couldn't even talk, anything. I didn't care about anything. All I knew was that my contractions were coming, and they were coming every like 2 to 5 minutes. Okay, they were coming like clockwork, and they hit like crazy. I would say that my contractions started around 2 o'clock, and this was about 4 o'clock now when I was in the room, and I was still having contractions and everything. And my doctor, because I had already previously had an episode of, you know, me having contractions and all this stuff, they didn't really think that I was gonna deliver the baby today, because like I said, it already happened before. So you know, time kept winding down. I'm there, I'm in so much pain. I wasn't even thinking about, oh, let me go ahead and ask for an epidural, see if I can get an epidural. Like, I completely forgot about that. The doctors or the nurses, nobody mentioned it to me, and yeah, it was just like out of sight, out of mind. So it must have been like around 5 o'clock at this point, and I just felt like I had to take a shit. And I know they were saying, you feel like, you know, you gotta go take number 2, then please let us know, because that just means that the baby's coming. So I was like, yup, I gotta go. So the nurses, she went to go get the doctor, and she's like, okay, the patient is saying that she has to go. She felt like she has to push. So he came in and he checked me. He was like, okay, let me go ahead and check you to see how dilated you are. And he checked me, and I was only 6 centimeters dilated. So he was like, okay, just don't push yet, because we still have to get the Nicu team in here. I was like, okay, like, I really have to push. I was there holding myself off, trying so hard not to push. And at this point, I was so like irritated, and I was just like a bottle of emotion. Like, I really wanted to push, I couldn't. I was in so much pain. The NICU wasn't there yet, and I was just getting so impatient, anxious, and everything. So I was like, where is the NICU? Like, I really have to push. So the nurses, they kept saying, she needs to push it down. We need to get the NICU team here now. Like, what's going on? So at one point, the baby wasn't on the monitor. So there was a nurse that came, and she came over, and she's like, the baby's not on the monitor, and I need to find her to put her back on the monitor. So she came over, and She was literally like digging into my pelvic area, like pressing so hard, and this was when I was having a contraction, like pressing so hard into my pelvic area, like it hurt so bad, and I was just like, get your hand off of me, I'm in so much pain right now and you're not gonna do this. So she lifted her hands up and she walked away, and I was just like, I don't care, like I'm in so much pain right now and you don't even care. That's when another nurse came and she found my baby just fine without applying any more pressure, and I was just like, what was so hard in fact for you to do? Like, sometimes people can be so insensitive, you guys, and if any of you are currently pregnant, follow your instincts, okay? And don't let the doctors tell you like, no, you're not having contractions or anything. Make sure you speak up, okay? And I was definitely gonna let her know that you're putting way too much pressure on me and I'm already in pain and we're not gonna do this. The NICU team finally came, the doctor came in and he was like, you know, putting me into position, and he's like, don't push us yet, I know you really want to push, but I'll let you know when to push because we need to get them set up. So the NICU team is over here to my left, you know, doing what they need to do, rushing, trying to get everything set up, because at this point she's like the tip of Mama JJ and she needs to come out right now. So I'm like, can I push? Can I push? Oh my goodness. I was just like, can I push now? Now, can I do it now? They were like, no, not yet, don't push it, don't push it. So eventually I was like, you know what, like, you guys come on, like, what is taking so long? I need to push, I need to push, I need to push. So he was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you when to push, and you know, we're gonna get her out nice and safely. So he was like, whenever the contraction hit and you feel like you need to push, just go ahead, just give it all your might and just push. So yeah, so he was like, whenever you feel like you need to push, just go ahead and push. So the first push I did, it took about 3 pushes honestly, you guys, and she popped right out. That was so hard. That was literally the hardest thing that I ever had to do, and I did it with no pain meds whatsoever. I didn't even remember that that was even an option for me to do. Like, everything went by so fast. Like, that was the last thing on my head, was to be like, oh, let me get an epidural. And I had already gotten an injection in my spine when I was 15 weeks, and that shit was hell. And I was like, you know what, listen, I ain't got time for that again. So yeah. When they weighed her, she was born at 1 pound and 4 ounces. Like, can you imagine how small that is? Like, she could literally fit in my palms how small she was. So yeah, they cleaned her up and everything. They weighed her and they brought her over to me. All I remember hearing was the NICU doctor saying is, what did he say? Skin to skin with mom, skin to skin with mom. So I heard him say that about twice, and a nurse brought her over and she put her on my chest for like 2.5 seconds. Like, literally I looked down at her, saw that little nose and how hairy she was, and that's it. Like, they swooped her away. They swooped her up and brought her to the NICU, and that was that. Nonetheless, that was the journey of her birth, and she was born at 5:26 p.m. I don't know if I mentioned that. So my labor was pretty quick. Like I said before, my contractions started around 2 o'clock, and I delivered at 5:26 p.m. and she weighed 1 pound and 4 ounces of juiciness. Yeah, so they swooped her up and they brought her to the NICU, and I actually didn't get to see her for the rest of the day. I believe I went to go see her this Saturday. Yeah, because they spent all night, you know, doing what they need to do, fixing her up, putting her on the machine that she needed to be put on, so I couldn't get to see her for the rest of the night. I believe I went to go see her this Saturday morning. And yeah, you guys, that's when her journey in the NICU started. She spent approximately 91 days in intensive care. Such a long journey, which is exactly 3 months. She had to have, oh my gosh, she went through so much while she was in the NICU. I'm not gonna go down the list and say everything that happened because it was just a lot, but thankfully, just to mention a few, she had to have 2 blood transfusions. She lost a ton of her birth weight. Mind you, she was born at 1 pound and 4 ounces, and she lost a ton of that before she even started to regain her weight. And I don't even think she started to regain her weight until the 3 weeks after she was born, which is quite a long time. So I remember there was even a point where she was down to literal skin and bones. She was so tiny, and yeah, that was just a lot. So yeah, she had to have several tests ran when she was in the NICU just to make sure that everything is going good. She's getting all that she needed to get to make sure that she can come home on time. Now, she did have a problem with her respiration. She did not get off of oxygen until she was about 37 or 38 weeks. So yeah, that was a challenge. There was even a point where because she spent so long on oxygen, the doctors were saying that she would need to be transferred to another facility for an additional 3 months just to help her with her respiration. And that was probably one of the hardest things that I had to hear or go through, because you can only imagine, like, already going through preterm labor, having your daughter in the NICU for 3 months, expecting her to come home around her due date, and then only to hear that she might not come home, or if she comes home, she's gonna come home on oxygen, or she's gonna go to another facility for an additional 3 months. Like, that was so heartbreaking, but God is good, and she managed to come home 1 week before her actual due date. So I gave birth on August 10th, and her due date was November 19th. So she came home to me on November 9th, and that was one of the happiest days of my life. I was so ecstatic. I was so happy. She came home nice and healthy. I believe she was about 5.5 pounds when she came home, because the NICU that she was in, one of the requirements was that she had to be at least 5.5 pounds in order for her to be released. So yeah, she was released when she was 5.5 pounds. She came home a week before her due date. She was perfectly healthy. Everything was fine. She wasn't on any oxygen. She didn't need to be on oxygen when she came home, which oh my god, that little girl is such a fighter, and I'm so happy and I'm so thankful. And yeah, that was the story of her birth and her journey in the NICU. Like I said before, I did film this video already, so I'll just go ahead and insert the clip of me introducing her to you guys. And yeah, so yeah, I wanted to officially introduce her to my channel, you guys. Her name is Aaliyah Naomi, and she was born at 1 pound and 4 ounces. 1 pound and 4 juicy ounces. And because she was born so early, she is what they would call a micro preemie, because she was born so early. She was born at 25 weeks and 5 days. She was 2 days short of 26 weeks. So I usually just round it up and say she was born at about 26 weeks, because like I said before, she was 2 days short of 26 weeks. So yeah, she spent roughly 91 days in the NICU, a very long journey. I went to see her every single day while she was there, and yeah, she came home a week before her actual due date. Her actual due date was November 19th, and she was born on August 10th, and she came home a week before that. She had a long and rough journey in the NICU, but she is such a fighter that she made it, and she's home with us now, and she is perfectly healthy and just amazing. So I will definitely have her a lot more on my channel. As I said before, I'll be doing mommy and baby videos, so definitely let me know in the comment section below if you guys would like to see more from us, if you just want to keep it makeup related, because I can definitely do that if that's what you guys are interested in. Definitely let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and that's about it. I am your girl Olivia Face, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye guys.